All right, you start whenever, my friend.
And welcome everybody to this episode of Halos in the Infield. I am joined here by, well, you know him, you love him, the one, the only, Dominic Lorenz, our friend over at Catella Chronicles. Mr. Lorenz, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. I know the holiday season is fastly approaching, and we're getting ready for Christmas and the new year, and it's going to be a new year for not only Catella Chronicles, Halos in the Infield, but for our beloved Angels as a whole.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot to talk about. I mean, everyone knows, are they going to talk about it? Of course, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about everything and more. Before we get into any of that, make sure to follow us on all of our social medias. Make sure to follow our friends over at Catella Chronicles as well. Dominic, where can they find you guys over there?
You know where to find us at Catella_CHRON on X and Instagram. I'm trying to not say Twitter anymore. I'm still saying
Yeah,
X.
you said the forbidden word.
I said the forbidden word, but you can find us on both those channels as well. And you can check out all the podcasts that we have done on our YouTube page, Catella Chronicles, as well.
Well, make sure to follow them over there if you haven't already. And also, thank you to our sponsor, 714 Tickets. Use code HITTY at checkout for 10% off, 5% back off their already great deals with no fees ever. Make sure to go to Noble, mention Halos in the Infield as well. All right, so now that all the yard work is out of the way. Oh, also, 5-star review. If you're listening
Always.
to this, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, consensually smash the like button. That's what we do around here. We always ask before we smash, and you are allowed to hit that like button. So make sure you do so. Subscribe as well.
Fernando is on one tonight. I love it. Live from Houston. He's on top of his game.
Yeah. Yeah, I need something to keep the vibes up because Houston has zero positivity here. This place is disgusting. All right. So being an Angels fan, you want to talk about disgusting? Being an Angels fan is probably it. We have been bamboozled, kerplucked. We've been run amok. We've been led astray. My friend Dominic, I didn't used to believe in magic, but then my dog turned into a snake. Shohei Ohtani is officially a Dodger. We're going to get to that. But first, let's talk about the little bit of hope we might have had the night before because David Fletcher and Max Stassi were traded to Perry Manassian's old friends, the Atlanta Braves. It was clearly a salary dump type of deal. We got, I forgot the kid's first name, Thompson. What was his first name? Thomas, maybe? Was his
Thomas, like Thompson Thomas or Tom? It's an alliteration type move.
Yeah. And then we got Evan White. Evan White is, of course, the guy who got paid way too early by Seattle. Seattle gambled and seemingly lost.
Good job, Jerry Dipoto. Typical Jerry Dipoto.
Yeah, and some teams do that where they have a prospect, they feel really good about him, and they pay him early because, hey, if we pay him now, when, he's making great plays in the field, smashing dingers, driving in runs, we already paid him.
Correct. Exactly.
He can't say, hey, I want $25 million because no, sir, you agreed to $8 million and we took a chance on you and that's what you're getting. Unfortunately for Seattle, it did not work out for them with Evan White so far. But he's an Angel. So that was a salary dump type move, correct?
Oh, 100%. I think I put that in our internal group chat. I said, here's a salary dump alert. You're saving $6.5 million this year and $6 million next year on David Fletcher. Then you were saving about, I think, $7.5 million on Max Stassi. So in total, you're saving roughly about $20 million over the next 2 years on those two players. Which
we also have to remember that Evan White is on a rather large contract for who he is.
Correct. So you're looking at it in a scenario where, just from the Angels' perspective, you saved $20 million roughly. That $20 million could have went to a part of a Shohei Ohtani deal, which didn't happen. But it can now open up the payroll for now other players now that we're living in the future and know what Ohtani's fate is. We know Atlanta quickly said that they were probably going to flip Max Stassi. They do. They sent him to Chicago. He can reunite with Angels' old pitching coach and a lot of the Angels' ex-staff that's now over with the White Sox. And then David Fletcher this afternoon, as we talked about before the show, got outrighted by Atlanta. So he's got to accept that AAA assignment, or for, there's going to be some channels. My guess, 12.5 million. If I'm David Fletcher, go to AAA, do your business. We never on this show wish injury upon anybody, but injuries happen. That's the name of the game. And guess what?
Absolutely inevitable.
Guess who the middle infield would be for the Braves AAA affiliate on opening day? It would be David Fletcher if he accepts the assignment. And who would be his partner up the middle? I don't know if you know this one.
His brother.
No. Todd's favorite player.
A Squiddy Poo.
Squiddy Poo.
Squiddy Poo. Where's David Fletcher's brother at right now? Is he still in Arizona?
Arizona, yeah. He's a figment. It's supposed to be, a utility role in Arizona moving forward. So, but yeah, Squiddy Poo and Fletch, the greatest show on turf, could reunite out there at the Braves.
Dynamic duo. The real show. The greatest show on earth.
Yeah, which would be, I forget how you pronounce Gwinnett or whatever in the Southeast, whatever the Braves AAA facility is. So, good for that city.
Oh, yeah. The Gwinnett Braves? Is that what they are?
Stripers or something. Yeah, whatever.
I thought they changed their name.
Maybe, but either way, but to a city near you.
Gwinnett Stripers, yeah, that's it.
Squiddy Poo to a city near you.
There you go. Who needs to go and see the Savannah Bananas when they're traveling? You got Squiddy Poo.
Man, but it's a salary dump. There's nobody can convince us that it was anything else. We saw, personally, I was more surprised of Stassi being dealt than Fletcher, because we knew Fletcher's deal was on the rise soon. The relationship was breaking apart. Front office didn't believe in him anymore, along with Jared Walsh, who's no longer with the organization. You're in a scenario now where $12.5 million over the next 2 years. That was a huge hit to the Angels. They could go out and sign a Mike Moustakas, 2 years, $8 million, get more productivity than they were out of Fletcher, who was being ping-ponged back and forth. And I think what really was a huge nail in the coffin for David Fletcher was the progression of Zach Neto coming up to the big leagues faster than we all thought he would. So, yeah. And you still got a guy at third base named Anthony Rendon, who's here for the next 3 years.
So let me ask you this. So the moves made, that was what, Friday night? That was Friday night.
Friday, yeah.
So the move is made last Friday night. Okay. When that move hits, did you feel a little bit better about the Ohtani sweepstakes at that moment, knowing that this was a salary dump? At that moment, were you still like, you know what? Okay, I'm feeling a little bit better now. I think we're going to have a better chance at Shohei.
I think it opened up more possibilities, because I think I said, at least personally, I said it from the get-go that an Ohtani deal was going to be a little confusing. It would have its nuances. Did we think it'd be as much nuances as we know now? No. But I said there'd probably be an opt-out somewhere, maybe some deferred money, maybe some upfront money, specifications. Adding an extra $20 million for the first couple years of a new Ohtani deal, okay, made sense. When we last podcasted, I said, 52% Ohtani would be an Angel and 48% he wouldn't. After that, 48 hours after we recorded that and went out, I think my tune changed to 70% he was gone, 30% returning, because of the whole Toronto conversation, the Dodgers. It just didn't seem the Angels were in any conversation. And unless someone dropped the ball so bad that pissed off Ohtani, then he'd come back to the Angels. So it just became, as more time elapsed, the farther and farther away he got. But at the moment, you're like, okay, maybe the Angels, maybe there's a glimmer of hope. Sure, an extra $20 million, great. Now, if they had traded Rendon's contract, but now that we know Ohtani's only going to get $20 million over the next 10 years up front, that $20 million was literally, it's all hearsay at the end of the point. But yes, I would say there was a little glimmer of, okay, how does this affect the race, and how do the Angels benefit from this?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that they were obviously trying to move the money for something. We obviously didn't know what that something was, but we knew that they were trying to make a stab at Ohtani. Mm-hmm. So my guess was, maybe it got a little too hot in the kitchen. The number was too high, and they were like, we need to do something quick. And then that's kind of what they pivoted to. Let's dump these guys because, we talked about it last offseason. We knew from our sources inside that the organization was not sold on Jared Walsh and they were not sold on David Fletcher. So they went and they found replacements last year for those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell that the words that we were told rang true because they did not give Fletcher the benefit of the doubt all year. They kept him down in the minors, rotting away to manipulate his service time.
Yep.
And then Jared Walsh, I guess you can say he had a little bit of a shot, but he was also dealing with his injuries and just kind of never really got it together. The team let him go. For better or
Yeah, I think out of the end of the day, the Stassi move, adding him to the mix was interesting because I think we all understand at this point, Logan Ohtani is option A. No doubt about it. He is a leader. If you didn't see him on MLB Network breaking down his season, leadership at its best. He has a good voice. He will be a figment of this younger core for the Angels. The back end, we're going to pay $7 million for a backup catcher. And I know a week before at the winter meetings, Perry Manassian said, we like Stassi as our backup. He's a good veteran leadership, kind of that Kurt Suzuki that we've had. And he's been out of baseball for a year. It'd be nice to bring him back. And then they dump him. So is that Atlanta saying, we don't want just Fletcher, add something else to the mix? Or it was the Angels saying, please take him. Theis is here, or we'll go get some backup, or we'll figure, like Theis is your backup. And if we need emergency, get Chad Wallach at any time, sure, we'll do it. It's not the detriment to our season.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of is, there's nothing they can do with Matt Theis. They have to find him a home in the major leagues or they're going to lose him, right? Because Matt Theis is an interesting case. If you waive him, I have no problem believing that somebody would take Matt Theis. Somebody would take a flyer on him. The guy can play first base. He's flirted at third base. He can catch,
There's
so
something there.
We saw glimpses of him being a decent catcher last year, both offensively and besides the hiccups in the beginning defensively, when, he had back-to-back games where he had the defensive catching interference.
Yeah.
Overall, he was a pretty decent defensive catcher. He wasn't the guy, but he was a decent guy.
Who would have thought he would have been thrusted into a role like that when Ohtani went down? Because Ohtani started the year fantastic. And
Absolutely.
you would think he was going to be a low-level
Rookie of
guy.
the year candidate.
Exactly. And with Theis going in as prototypical backup, who would have thought he would have become option one with Chad Wallach? Nobody knew that. So for him to do what he did, sure, were there highs, were there lows and super lows? Of course. But nobody thought he was going to be thrusted in that role through the majority of the season for 3.5+ months. So, there is something there. Maybe having that service time this year and being a part of that major league squad full time all year long will help him in the future. But again, the obvious elephant in the room is Ohtani is option A behind the plate. No doubt about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else you have on this before we move on to the real elephant in the room?
I think it was a salary jump. Again, I'll reiterate it. No one can change our minds. It was clearly, and if you didn't think it at the time, Atlanta flips Max Stassi and they outright Fletcher. That clearly says, we'll take the money, you take Evan White's money. It was just new. It's almost like Brandon Marsh with Mickey Moniak. They just needed a new home somewhere else to see if it works. And if it works out, Atlanta's starting to build the ex-Angel squad. They got Rysel, they got Fletcher in the system, they got, they're starting to build that ex-Angel mentality.
Yeah, right. We'll see if the losing trickles back to their organization. Okay, so let's talk about Shohei Ohtani. So we've had a little bit of time now. Yep. You released a little mini episode, if you will, live on Saturday night venting. I did as well on the YouTube. I read a lot of those comments. I don't know if you watched the video or if you read the comments. We had a little bit of the trolls, but overall, it seemed like everybody was kind of on the same boat. It was a lot of people disappointed.
Yes, that is correct. And I think at the end of the day, like I said in my video, it was a situation where people aren't mad he left. If he went to Toronto or the Giants, it's like, damn, we had Ohtani for the time we did. You know, we'd be blaming ownership like we normally would. No, I get it. But because he chose out of all the teams, and I said this, Dodgers or Yankees, those were the two teams that I think us Angel fans would be like, what the F? And more so the Dodgers, because that had been rumored for a long time. The fan bases don't get along and all of those details that we not going to regurgitate, but it's just bullet pointing for you. That's what makes us feel disrespected. It's a slap in the face. Now, again, based on the business of baseball, not personally, but just letters of the law business, he's a free agent. He can go wherever he wants. But as a fan, it's like, did it really have to be that team? And this is before we learned all about the contract nuances. So just his name affiliated with the Dodgers, yeah, we were hot. No doubt about it. It's just like, really? Come on, out of anybody? Yes. Like, sucks.
Yeah, and we won't get into the contract just yet, but we're going to get there. Of course
we will. That's the
I
biggest
wanted
thing.
the initial reaction. So, I mean, you know, I made my text. I texted, you know, obviously you guys, we were talking in the group chat. You know, I texted some old friends. And one of my friends who was, you know, in the organization, I won't say his name, but people aren't stupid. He knew Shohei. And he told me that the entire time he knew Shohei was going to the Dodgers. He told me that he knew from the second he met Shohei in 2018 or 2019 that Shohei was destined to go to the Dodgers. You know, I haven't got to ask him to elaborate too much on that. That'll be maybe a conversation for the next dinner. But with that being said, I think deep down we all knew that the Dodgers were a possibility, right? I mean, we have our receipts. We podcast. Your words, my words are out there forever. Todd's words, and we've definitely said, oh, Shohei's going to be a Dodger. We said it during the season this year. But the fact that we had the opportunity for it to not happen, and I started to believe he was going to go to Toronto, and, oh, hey, he's flying. There's this private jet. We were sipping the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
So everybody was. We all fell for it. And that's what I'm saying, man. We got absolutely bamboozled. We all fell hard for it.
To me, at the end of the day, I agree with you on the part that, let's be real. If you just, without saying who the player was, if you threw out 10 years, $700 million, regardless of the deferment, and we'll get into that in a minute, but just on paper, 10 for 700, what other team in baseball but the Dodgers was going to give that money? Nobody. I don't care. Oh, the Yankees have a high price. No, this is not the Yankees of old. This is the Dodgers flaunting their money, upset they didn't get judged last year, and they're taking out their frustrations from the lack of free agency and trades last season and putting it on paper this year and shoving it up the world's butt at this point right now.
But so the other thing that's curious to me, and yes, you know, obviously we found out a little bit more once the news came out 2 or 3 days later about the payments. But the thing with the Dodgers, they don't typically give out these Mondo AAV contracts. You know, Mookie Betts, he's only getting like what, 20-something $million. Freddie Freeman, same thing. He's getting like what, 23, $26 million, something in the ballpark. You know, so yeah, they give out big sums of money because, you know, they're long contract, but they don't have anybody making $30 million a year, and they still don't.
This is to me, this is an opportunity for the Dodgers to, and this is for lack of a better terms, be relevant again. The Dodgers are always relevant. We have to admit that. They go to the playoffs. They win. Do they win championships besides the 2020 fluke? No. But they win 100 games in the regular. They're prominent in the regular season. I'll give them credit for that. This, by getting Ohtani, makes them relevant 365 days a year. It puts them back on the map in the baseball world. It's the LA Hollywood market. Ohtani's the star. All the characteristics, all the jokes that we talk about. This is an opportunity for the Dodgers, I think, really, and maybe this is just us jaded Angel fans right now, for the next decade, to at any point the Angels do ever do something positive, good luck, they can just slap Ohtani's name and say, we have him, you don't, suck. It's like big brother, little brother. They're big brothering us, and it's I don't want to say it's completely personal, but come on, there's got to be some personal game. Like, we just stole him from the Angels. We're going to make this sting a little bit to the. They know. Again, I know the baseball's bigger than just that, but don't tell me that's not an added bonus to the organization and their fans. Come on.
Yeah, well, especially to their fans, it is.
Yeah.
It's just my initial feeling was I was like, as soon as I read it, like I felt numb to it. It was like, well, you know what I mean? We'd said it for so long. My disappointment wasn't that he left. I was braced for him to leave.
Yeah.
And I've said multiple times, it's probably best for the Angels if he does leave.
Yeah, we agreed on that.
Yes, our words are there. Don't believe us? You can check one of our many episodes dating back to last year. We all said that it's best to let him walk for the organization. And I still feel like that. Because A, the Angels wouldn't have structured his contract the way they did. B, it puts us in a situation now where perhaps we're able to keep guys like Trout and Rendon a little more healthy now. Because now they'll have the ability to DH.
Yes.
Honestly, if I'm the Angels, don't count on Rendon to be your third baseman. Maybe you can count on him to be the DH. And honestly, maybe you hold him accountable to be the DH.
Maybe so.
Tell him, hey, sorry, man. Like, we need you to DH, brother. You're not doing anything. You're not making any money.
Yep.
Or sorry, you're making your money. You're not earning the money, is what I meant.
Earning.
He's making plenty of it.
Yeah, hold on a second.
So with all that being said, you know, you go out there, get a serviceable third baseman. Maybe that's a guy like a Gio Urshela because, you know, he can play third base. He did decent for us last year.
I personally, I know we'll get to this near the end about where the Angels pivot from here.
Sure.
I have thoughts, but I have wild thoughts.
It's Matt Chapman.
Yeah. Congratulations. Foreshadowing, maybe. But we'll get into that details in moments. But I get what you're saying about this gives the Angels financial and physical flexibility when it comes to adjusting the lineup. And now, so the Angels are pretty much going to get back to a 5-man, 5-day-a-week rotation instead of the 6-man. I'm going to guess Barry Enright, the new pitching coach, will get back to that 5-day method. So this gets back to the Angels some routine, back to basics, which is fine.
And maybe that helps some of these guys.
And I think so. I think it's just the initial reaction is the initial sting of him going. It's the Dodgers. If it was any other team except for the Dodgers or potentially the Yankees, if he went to the Cubs, good, cool. Toronto, great.
I'll get a Cubs Ohtani jersey. Why not?
Yeah, but are we going to put Dodger jersey on our back? No, that's not going to happen. At the end of the day, this is my question to you. $700 million, regardless if it's deferred or not. That is a lot of money.
Absolutely.
He's the highest paid athlete in all sports by miles. The next highest person is Mr. Mike Trout at $426.5 million. So he surpassed him. He's basically saying I'm worth 1 3/4 of Mike Trout. Okay.
Yeah.
I get it. I get he hits. We get he pitches. We've seen it for the last 6 years. He's hurt right now, so he's only going to be a DH the first year of this deal. He's going to be 30, so this deal takes him to age approximately 40. Who knows what can happen over the next decade? Is $700 million appropriate? And B, when are we going to see a $1 billion player? Because we're getting close to it now.
Yeah. Well, okay. So is he worth $700 million? Shohei Ohtani, the player? No, nobody's worth $700 million. I don't care.
Unless
there's no argument that can be made.
Unless you are Jesus drinking wine out of Jesus's shoe. You are not worth $700 million. And I would have said the same thing if we re-signed him for that same contract.
Absolutely. I don't care who you are. Look, I've said it before, and I stay by my words. Shohei Ohtani is absolutely the most talented athlete on the planet. Better than LeBron James, better than Patrick Mahomes. Honestly, you can probably bottle all those guys up together, and they're still not even half the athlete of Shohei Ohtani.
Yep.
So, and I stand by those words. Yep. That's not controversial. Nobody's going to tell you otherwise. When Shohei Ohtani is healthy, he's the best, most athletic human being on this planet.
We'll give him
that. Like a gazelle. You know, he can probably run against a guy like Usain Bolt and not get completely embarrassed.
Yeah.
You know, he can throw a baseball with the best of them.
Yep.
He can hit an absolute missile with a bat. So, guy's super talented. He could dunk a basketball. The guy can do anything.
Yep.
So, with all that being said, I get it. If you want to get as close to looking at $700 million worth of somebody, it's Shohei Ohtani. But is Shohei Ohtani the person worth $700 million? Yes.
Mhm.
Shohei Ohtani, the athlete, $300-400 million. Okay. The additional money is for the marketing aspect of it. Because, like you said, the Dodgers are one of the big name teams in baseball. You think of baseball, if you ask 100 casual people, pick them off the street. Everybody knows the Dodgers. Everyone knows the Red Sox. Everybody knows the Yankees and probably the Cubs.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to know those 4 logos.
Yep.
You're going to get the Angels, what, maybe 70%?
Yeah,
They're a relevant name, but not everyone's got to know the Angels. The Twins, the Pirates, people don't know those names. But the Dodgers, Cubs, Red Sox, Yankees, those are synonymous with baseball. Hell, those are synonymous with sports. Some of the most recognizable logos in all of sports.
Yep.
So with all that being said, they are the proper market to recoup every single penny and more with Shohei Ohtani. And that's the one thing. I'm happy I don't live in California right now, anymore for that reason alone. I miss California. I miss my friends. I miss my family. But I'm going to be so happy to drive around town and see the Texas Rangers World Series champion boards over the Shohei Ohtani and Dodger blue. Both of them are going to make me sick.
Oh, but you should see the amount of media coverage in the just around town on radio, on TV news. It's just Ohtani this, Ohtani that. We already know Ohtani's press conference is tomorrow at 3:00 at Dodger Stadium. So you already know tomorrow's media circus cycle is going to be nuts. I'm shocked they're not open. I'm really shocked, honestly, that they are not opening the gates for fans, packing out the ballpark, and having it on the field as if he was retiring. I'm shocked the Dodgers are not pumping this out to the fullest extent because they are going to, forbid my language, horror themselves out with this for the next decade. And I've said this from the beginning. What will the conversation be if the Dodgers don't win over the next 10 years? Will the media give them the same effort that they gave the Angels, said you wasted Ohtani? Doubt it, because it's the Dodgers. But
the fans,
I would say that. To me, at the end of the day, and this is going to hurt over the next 10 years, even if the Dodgers win just one out of the next 10 years, forever and always, the organization and the fans will say it was worth it, as long as they get one. Because then they could say he had 1 with us and 0 with you. It's like Kobe and Shaq. When Kobe got his 5th and he said, well, I got 1 more than Shaq. It's that mentality all over again.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so honestly, if the Dodgers only win 1 championship out of 10 years, this is a failure. Absolute failure.
In realism, yes. But to the fans, woo, we won.
Yeah. And with the organization, they're going to say the same thing because they made their money. They're going to sell their jerseys. They're going to sell their pinche Dodger dogs, their pinche weenies. They're going to sell their goddamn beer. They're going to sell those ugly ass, crusty ass, dusty ass blue T-shirts.
I'm waiting for you know what they're going to do? They're going to rip off the Mickey Mouse logo, the one from the All-Star game at Angel Stadium, put a Dodger jersey on it with Ohtani on the back and say, here, sell it for $45, $50.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't just say that because you're wearing a Disneyland sweatshirt. That just happened to be. Putting that out there for those that are watching the podcast.
So let me ask you this. So over the next 10 years, how many World Series do the Dodgers actually have to win for this to be successful in your eyes?
I would say I almost said the Angels need to win. Well, the Angels do need to win. In my opinion, for the Dodgers to make this 10-year, $700 million contract legitimate, I would say, knowing how tough baseball is to win a World Series and a lot of teams to do it back to back, and just it's a gauntlet. I still believe baseball is the toughest playoffs to get through. I really do believe that.
I agree. With the NHL being a close second.
NHL being second, then I would put probably football third, basketball last, honestly, personally. I think the Dodgers need to win a minimum of 4 over the next 10 years to make this.
Really? 4? That is That's a big number.
That's a big number. I think if they 3 to the common fan, that I would say between the common fan and us, if there was an intermittent, I would say 3. The hat get 3 every 3 years. There you go. But I would say because of the amount of money, who's currently on the team right now, who they're probably going to get moving forward, because they could get Yamamoto. They could get somebody else.
But don't forget, the rumors right now are Glasnow and a Rosarena.
Or Glasnow and Manuel Margot, whatever the case may be. But so let's just say they get Yamamoto and Glasnow. With Ohtani, that could be a rotation. Yamamoto is going to be at least a 7+ year deal. So you're looking at Ohtani and Yamamoto in the same rotation, basically Ohtani's entire Dodger career.
Yeah.
If you get players like this, the Dodgers clearly want to win this upcoming year so they can strike while the iron's hot. Everybody's talking about and say, we had 1 year with not even 365 days with Ohtani, and we won. We know how to do it. That's what this whole theme is of 2024 upcoming. But I would say based on $700 million and what they could bring in throughout the decade to help Ohtani, they got to win at least 4 for it to be legit. Anything less, to me, they're still going to cheer about it. But as a deep-hearted baseball fan, if we're looking at it from a business perspective, because look how much money they would probably sell in World Series merchandise every time they win.
Yep.
So I would say 4. Let's go with 4.
I'm going to say 2, but it's only because baseball is so hard to win. I don't think they're going to win this like in 2024. Dodger fans can forget that. Of course they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if over the next 2 or 3 years they break the record for most wins in a single season, because they flirted with it many times.
Yeah.
I think they'll break the barrier over the next couple of years. 2025, because 2025, Ohtani is going to start pitching. Then again, Ohtani started pitching in 2020 and was absolute hot dog water. Literally had an infinity in our ERA. You could do that.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Thank you.
I mean, hey, I could too. And that's what's pissing me off. Like, I'm sure the thing that's been annoying you is the same thing that's been annoying me. All these fans that are like, well, the Angels had it for 6 years. You guys should be appreciative. Let me remind you guys, 2018 was his rookie year. He won Rookie of the Year. He was really the only option. When the next best option, Gleyber Torres of the Yankees that year, they're going to get money for the marketing alone. Okay. Yeah. He didn't pitch very much that year. He pitched literally like 10, 12 games. It wasn't much. I don't even think he made it to like May as a pitcher.
No, and if you really truly look at his entire career, to me, the front half, very basic. He had highs. Well, and then it was the back 3 years. It was 21, 22 in this past season that were his calling card.
Well, and that's what I want to say. So 2019, he had a pretty good year. He batted like 3-something, and that was him just as a DH because he was going through Tommy John. 2020, absolute hot dog water, absolute trash. Guy was horrible.
And even if he played well, we only got half of an Ohtani year because of COVID. We lost. So really, everybody needs to pump the brakes and say 5.5 years of Ohtani. I'm just putting that out there.
Well, yeah, and what I'm saying is, so after that 2020 year where he did horrible, he was batting like 1-something. I think he was like 211. I think he batted about 211.
Just above Mendoza line.
It was really bad. So with that being said, and that was the same year he had the infinity ERA. With that being said, after that year, going into 2021 is when the Angels bought him out of 2 of his 3 arbitration years. They gave him that 2-year deal where I think he got like, $3 million in 2021, $5 million in 2022. And then in 2023, he hit his final year of arbitration. That's when they gave him $30 million. So with that being said, the Angels, everyone's like, well, he gave the Angels so much. The Angels also gave Ohtani a lot. Before people continuously slam this organization, and this organization is very flawed, the front office is horrible. The 100%. Front office did give Ohtani a shot when he probably didn't deserve it.
No. The Angels put forth, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being basically what the Dodgers are trying to do right now. In the parameters, every organization is different. Let's say Ohtani was with Oakland. You think they would have given him what the Dodgers are giving him? So let's adjust your settings here, folks. I think the Angels did what they could, some of the time, I would give him a core 6 out of 10 of trying to support. Because at this time, yes, did the Angels make some bad moves? Yeah, sure. Should they have given Rendon contract? No, but that's in hindsight. In that moment, Rendon was coming off a World Series. You had Trout, Rendon, Ohtani. That was a very nice threesome in the middle of your order, no doubt about it. You also then had guys that looked promising. Jared Walsh after that big all-star year. That was a promising look. David Fletcher just got his contract. He was supposed to be a figment of this infield. Then, Joe Adell. He was supposed to be the number one prospect craze that was going to be an even extra bat.
And don't forget, you still had Justin Upton.
Yeah,
you still had Albert Pujols for a little bit there.
Yep.
And these are guys that were supposed to drive in runs also.
Yep. So let's be real. If you had Upton, Pujols, Trout, Rendon, Ohtani, and if Joe Adell worked out as the number one prospect and hit the scene hot, 6 out of your 9 positions were legit threats. That, I know the pitching, we could talk about the pitching, and that was a different element as well. But just from an offensive standpoint, that was a nice little group, but nothing naturated the way it was supposed to go. Nothing went the way. Everything the Angels touched turned sour. On paper, we say this every spring trading. On paper, this could be a playoff team. But then it falls apart. So really, and I know it failed. And I know it failed hard. But I still am going to give props to Perry Manassian and a little bit to Artie Moreno because he allowed Perry to do it. They did their best to go all in this past trade deadline, even though it all went to shit except for Mike Moustakas. The Angels went all in and said, we are trying for this. We're in a good position going to the All-Star trade deadline. We just took a nice road trip. We beat the Yankees. We did all this. Let's strike while the iron's hot. Giolito didn't work out. Other players didn't work out. Things in theory worked, but didn't. So to me, you know me, check all the podcasts. I've said this before. When everybody wants to blame Perry Manassian, I get it. He makes the moves. He's making the moves at the present time. Who would have thought when the Angels signed Rendon, even though that was not Manassian, Rendon was going to be this bad? No.
Yeah, you have to make some regression, of course.
Yeah, you have to put the earnest on the player and the organization with the athletic trainers, the coaching staff. It's not just all up in the front office. You think Perry Manassian? No, he's just making the move in the moment. And that's where, again, the business of baseball aspect comes involved as well.
Yeah. So since I know we have to slowly start trying to wrap up here, let's start trending towards the end of the Ohtani discussion, because I don't want to beat the dead horse on that, but obviously it's going to come up again this offseason.
It's going to be a conversation a lot until the Angels make a legit move, which we'll talk about momentarily quickly. But at some point it's going to be a conversation from now until the next 10 years from now. Sorry. We're not going to berate
spying on your exes. We're going to be spying on our ex, right?
Yep.
Because let's be honest. This is the ex of exes. This is the cutest girl, the most handsome man. No matter which way you slice it or dice it, this was the best partner, right?
This was bigger than LeBron going to Miami.
Of course.
I think this is bigger. It would have been bigger, if not bigger, than if Kobe Bryant had left the Lakers to go to the Chicago Bulls, where Michael Jordan was at his whole career, or the majority of his career.
It would have been like if the Clippers and Lakers really did hate each other, because there's a rivalry there, but is there really?
Yeah, but there were rumors for a long time Kobe could have gone to the Clippers. If Kobe went to the Clippers, that would have been at this Ohtani. It would have been at that level.
I think it's the equivalent of like when David Ortiz was at his peak and he went to the Yankees.
Yeah.
Or like A-Rod before steroids. But, he was on steroids almost his whole career. But before, the really serious allegations and when he really started coming out that he was on steroids, if he went to the Red Sox.
Yeah,
it would have been that equivalent, right? You're going, we're not division rivals. Okay, but there's a natural rivalry there because of the perimeter of the teams. And if people can say all they want about, it's not a real rivalry. I don't know. The fans seemingly hate each other.
Yeah, it's straightforward. There's hate there. So,
exactly.
but especially now as the money aspect of this.
Yes. Yeah. Do you want to go ahead and break that down a little bit? We've already kind of alluded to it, but I mean,
Here's
really
the breakdown. 10 years, 700 million. And they talked about deferrals. And they're going
almost do that immediately. Hey, most of this is going to be deferred. We just didn't know how much.
And I thought it was going to be like, oh, if he doesn't pitch 150 innings in a year, he loses money. Like kind of like the opposite of, all that good stuff. To me, he's getting paid $2 million each year for the next 10 years up front. That's his payroll. He gets a large check of $68 million per year for the 10 years after his contract ends. So think of it this way. It's more so like a 20-year, $700 million contract. It is a very long contract because the more you stretch the money, the less taxes the Dodgers have to pay, the less taxes Ohtani has to pay, and the more money they'll have available to get other players. That part we get. I think it's, to me, hearing about it for the first time, and the more you learn about it, to me, yes, are they legally within the parameters of the collective bargaining agreement and the luxury tax? By letter of the law, you take it to court, yes. But are they skating on a very, very thin line, in my opinion, that is potentially harmful to the game of baseball? I think so, because if this is the case, the Dodgers are going to go make a move and get Yamamoto. They're going to get Glassdown. What happens if they go let's throw in Nat Chapman, for example. You're trying to build the super team in baseball, and I'm not saying it works, but that is a very dangerous product. And I'm going to, again, disclaimer this for anybody non-Angel fan watching. If this was the Angels doing this, I would highly question it as well, because it just seems off and a little bit of a slap in the face. Like, we're the Dodgers, we're bigger, we run the show, not the commissioner. And I don't like that.
Yeah, honestly, part of my language for a new, if you got kids in the car, yeah, I think it's absolute horseshit. Absolutely. I was already fuming because he was going to the Dodgers, but once I saw the level of deferrals on this, I was annoyed. I was just like, this is stupid. This is making an absolute mockery of not even baseball, but just like sports in general. Look, Shohei Ohtani has the ability to go wherever he wants. That's how free agency works, okay? And I'm not discrediting that. Shohei Ohtani is a talented player. If he wants to go to the Dodgers, I'm not happy about it, but okay. But what's not okay is you absolutely just finding a loophole in the system. Like, it's not fair. Yeah, and it's like, well, yeah, I mean, any team could have done this, but okay, but most players aren't going to do this. And the reason why is because no other player can do this. Shohei Ohtani gets so much money on endorsements that he can live off of $2 million. But I mean, good luck convincing Aaron Judge or Mike Trout or really any of these other guys. Like, no, you're only worth $2 million. We want to get more talent around you.
I want to know who brought this loophole to the table. Was it Ohtani's agents or was it the Dodgers? And then
they claim it was Ohtani. They claim that Ohtani's camp is the one who recommended this.
And if that is the case, my respect level for Ohtani as a person, not a player, as a person and his group that he associates around his agency or whatever, that will chip away a lot, because that tells me we all know he wanted the money and we all know he wants to win. What player doesn't want to win?
Of course.
But to chip away, that's basically saying middle finger to the league as a whole. Every team but the team you chose, the commissioner, everybody saying, I run the show. You're going to do what that's basically strongholding. And if that's the case, again, even if you chose the Angels, I would be highly questioning that at the same time. People can fight me in the comments. I mean that honestly. I don't care if he chose the Angels. This does not send a good message as organizationally. He is getting paid singularly more than a third of teams as a whole. As a whole. That is absolutely redonkulous. And to find a loophole like that, I know the meme video going around, the Wolf of Wall Street video, and was any of this legal? Hell no. Yeah, is it legal based on the CBA? Sure, but I just think it sets a very, very bad precedence moving forward in this game.
And people are going to say, like, oh, well, cry, go ahead and cry about it, Angels fans. But here's the thing. The fact that people have to explain why it is legal should raise a red flag alone. Because, if your job lays you off, nobody's sitting there like, well, this is illegal. That's just kind of the way it works.
Yeah.
And the fact that people have to justify it should tell you that there's something wrong with it. And the fact that everyone is saying, well, they're probably going to talk about this in the CBA should also tell you that there's something wrong.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if they talk about the CBA. Damage is done. What I would have been okay with the deferrals? $700 million. Let's say he got $30 million a year. That means he would have got $300 million during his time at the Dodgers. That would have left $400 million on the table. At least that makes sense. Like if you got half now, half later, or 250 now and whatever later. If that number made sense, great. But $2 million, that's it. You're getting 98% of your salary.
You're getting paid less than most guys in arbitration.
But I think in Ohtani's mind, in his camp's mind, it makes him look like a selfless player. Bring people. I want to not hamstring I know how good I am, but I don't want to hurt the team at the same time for being so good. But at the same time, you're looking a little bit like an ass because, and maybe more so the Dodgers look like an ass because you're going along with it. It's like a bully being a bully and allowing it to happen. And again, this is not Ohtani, the player, the pitcher, the hitter. He's going to play his game. I'm talking about the person and the mindset of the money. Money changes people, folks, and not just athletes and common Joes over here. Okay, no, nothing against Halo Joe, our good friend, but the common Bob, Joe, Billy, whoever. Money changes people, and there's just something about this precedence that doesn't sit right with me.
Ohtani literally went from one of the most beloved players in the world to one of the most hated overnight. Like, I think a lot of people were mad when he went to the Dodgers, and it wasn't just Angels fans. You can go on X and the tweets are there.
Everywhere.
And then as soon as this deferral thing came out, people immediately turned on it. Yeah. I for sure, I went from like, I'm mad at Ohtani to fuck him and the horse he rode in on immediately. As soon as I saw that, I was like, this guy's public enemy number one.
Yeah. When Ohtani signed with the Dodgers, I wasn't, as I said before, I wasn't heartbroken because we knew that was probably going to be the case. Okay. Yeah, did it have a little extra sting? It was the Dodgers. Sure. If they don't win, great. If they win, we'll hear about it because it's California. When I heard the deferments, that, again, it was just double middle finger to the entire, almost not even to baseball, to the entire sports world, that I'm better than all of you. And it just doesn't sit well. Am I going to claim he's public enemy number one? No. But at the same time, I'm not going to go out of my way to watch his highlights, even though it's going to be all over Twitter. And you know what? And the Dodgers are eating it up because they love being public enemy number one. So for me, at the end of the day, it fits the Dodger profile.
Yeah, hey, I mean, I'll say this. That way I can just kind of have my peace with it. I can't wait for the Dodgers to break the single season record for most wins in a season. They're going to win 120-something games. Yep. And they're going to get bounced by like the 85-win Rockies in the first round. I can't wait for it.
To me, to shorthand this before we finish up, 10 years is a long time for any contract. Ohtani's only hitting. We don't know what kind of arm he's going to have after the second Tommy John surgery. Who knows what other ailments could happen. We could maybe be 3 years into this deal and fans could say it's not worth it anymore. But at the end of the day, it's going to be worth it because he's only getting paid $20 million over the next 10 years. You're not going to know if it was worth it until they cut that check for 600 and whatever million at the end and it starts lump summing. So we won't know. Come back to us when we drop our podcast on this day, 11 years from now, to see if it was worth it.
God, dude, and I'm going to be almost 40.
Man, I'll be almost 40, so we'll see what happens. So my entire 30s are shot to hell at this point. So, oh, well, whatever. But I already know this season for the Angels, and as a whole, is going to be, for some reason, very annoying. I'm already somewhat dreading baseball season.
Same. Yeah, I'm not excited like in years past. And it's not because we don't have Shohei Ohtani, it's because we have such a boring roster on paper. Yeah, cool. We have some young fun guys, and I'm okay with that. I've told you guys that I'd be fine with the Angels if they decided to go on a full rebuild, but I don't think they're going to do that. Okay, so I don't want to get into the where do we go now argument because that's the next episode, folks.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. Short answer.
Yeah.
Do the Angels try to retool and pivot now? Or is this kind of where we're going to be with the Angels? You know, they're kind of going to roll with this, the Renjifos of the world, the Netos, those guys. And we're just going to bottle it up and we're going to see what happens.
They need to retool. Because if you leave the situation at hand of where the roster is right now, I don't think the Angels are not going to do anything the rest of the winter. I don't think so. Personally, for me, without saying they need to get a staunch pitcher. Maybe they get a third baseman if they want to move Rendon to DH. And you need to get or even get another designated hitter who can sometimes play the outfield for foreshadowing, like a Teoscar Hernandez. Somebody like that who's not the Bellinger price, but can play the outfield, play a little DH. So if Rendon happens to play third a couple of days, great. I think the Angels need to do that in order to stay relevant and to keep this young core learning on their toes. They need some veteran leadership, and maybe Mike Moustakas as well. I like Mike. I would love Moustakas back. The Angels need to get at least one staunch player for each position. A starter. They've already taken care of the relief a little bit, so I don't know where they're going to pivot from there. But two bats and a pitcher. Go get it, because you got to replace Ohtani legitimately somehow at the end of the day. I thought the Angels would be on the horn fast and get something done early this week. That was not the case. Free agency really the drain hasn't unplugged yet. Bellinger's still out there. Montgomery's still out there.
Roman, there's some really big names still out there.
I think if the Angels, and I know the Angels are supposedly active in the trade market, who knows? But, you know, without reasons why, Snell, yes. Maybe Matt Chapman, if you want to swing an Artie Moreno-style contract, sure, let's see what happens. Moustakas, sure. And if you want to go out and get a DH, JD Martinez or Jorge Soler. You have options. There are options. This free agent class is not as good as next year's, but maybe if you get one or two pieces now, one or two pieces next year, and plan for 2025, 2026, okay. Go from there.
Well, there you have it. So we'll try to figure out a time where Dominic can come back for the next episode, and we'll talk truly about where the Angels are going to be. I mean,
we won't talk Ohtani next time. No Ohtani next time.
Yeah, no. Obviously, that was something we needed to address this time because, of course, you know, he got a vent, I got a vent, but we wanted to do it together, bounce off of each other. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see maybe this time next week where the free agency is, because a couple of these guys are going to sign by next week. A lot of these guys want to have homes by Christmas, and almost all of those guys for sure, I think, will sign by New Year. You know, that seems to be where most people want to be signed by. You know, because typically right after the New Year, for those like 4 to 5 weeks leading up to spring training, that's typically the smaller deals, right? That's you know, the leftover pieces, the Cole Calhouns of the world, where they going for spring training kind of thing. Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. Is Soler an Angel? Is it Bellinger? Who knows? But I'm with you. I think the Angels are going to at least make one big splash. I'm surprised it didn't happen immediately. I thought it was going to be the Garrett Cole thing all over again. Yeah. Oh, well, Ohtani's gone. Cody Bellinger, we're giving you $600 million. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I think, to me personally, even though there are arms in the starting rotation, the Angels need a figment at the front. And I think Blake Snell is the person, maybe Stroman, maybe Montgomery, but one of those three guys needs to be an Angel. And then you need a thump of a bat. And maybe, honestly, Matt Chapman, Cal State Fullerton, you know how Perry's lately has been bringing home the SoCal kids. So, again, I didn't think about it till you spoke up. Rendon, more of a DH. Matt Chapman at third. They can flip-flop and rotate. Mustaka signs to be Nolan Shonowell's backup at first and you cycle them through, that could be highly, highly interesting in that case scenario, because Matt Chapman is still a very quality level player.
That's fair. All right. Well, Dominic, where can our listeners follow you one last time?
Oh, you know, the good old Xverse, Instagram, at Catella_CHRON. You can check out all the podcasts that we have done since our inception on our YouTube page, Catella Chronicles.
And your personal?
Oh, personal. How deep? You can follow me on X at Sportsmouth95 for all things baseball, hockey, any sports, and especially the high school baseball season where I broadcast for Huntington Beach High School.
Make sure to give them a follow over there, folks. Follow their podcast if you don't already. Give them a subscribe, a like, a comment. Give them a 5-star review, all that kind of fun stuff. And make sure to do the same thing for us. And that's going to do it out of all of us today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. On behalf of everyone in the Halos of the Infield family, have a great day wherever you may be. Cheers.